remember John and Eugene, as a matter of fact, the sort of three of them doing a scene together. So I have, and I actually still have photos from that day. John was not necessarily, around for dinner all the time or anything like that. But I do have very vivid memories of a lot of exchanges with John, which I think is really a testament to the kind of person he was. He would even make a 7-year-old kid feel important and special.
He was a big kid. He had a big heart and he was very warm. But, I think Jen and I could both agree he was absolutely like a very regular dad. He would get frustrated and angry and, all of the things. It wasn't out of the ordinary looking back on it. It kind of seemed like a shared experience.
It's not like when he got angry for the right reason. We weren't probably doing the right thing.
Okay. And so what annoyed him and the behavior of his children?
Oh man, I think I'm trying to even. Well, it's mostly listening. It's if we weren't listening, if we were out
going over to the neighbor's house or without getting permission. That kind of stuff.
It's like don't walk on the road, like because we lived on a dirt road and we were always told to go on the back side of the house over the fence essentially. And if we were to go on the dirt road, we had to tell someone. And there was one day I walked up the dirt road to my best friend's house and there was a dog next door that was a Doberman that my dad said, don't ever go near. And I remember being so proud. I came home one day and I was like, I got to walk by there and I saw the dog. And my dad was like, I told you never to go past that dog. Don't touch that dog. Because it was a Doberman and we didn't know, the neighbors were nice,
Right,
but it was
safety.
just Bowser was the dog's name. I remember Bowser. And so I remember getting in a lot of trouble for not listening. And then,
Absolutely.
I have almost 7-year-old and takes after me a lot. So I was like, please listen.
Speaks to the fact that John really, it didn't matter who you were. John was interested in what you were going through and how you were doing. The fact that John took that time to check in with Mac and make sure that he was doing okay. I related to that, having experienced it myself. But, the thing is, John was like that with everybody, he was like that with the people that he worked with. He was like that with the people that he met on the street. John made you feel important. He made you feel heard. And that was a really unique quality.
Yeah, it's like the Maureen O'Hara's. It was like he treated like his mother. He played, she played his mother in Only the Lonely, and he loved her and treated her like, his own mother. And with any of the actors who played his children in any of the films, from Summer Rental to, Uncle Buck, and he checked in on all of them. When we hear about Macaulay Culkin, that doesn't surprise me because that's who our dad was. He wasn't going to just kind of ignore a kid just because he was a kid actor and he was moving on to something else. It's like he genuinely wanted to know.
Do you have favorite scenes that he did?
Just came to mind recently. I love Little Shop of Horrors, and I love that just the radio announcer bit that he plays. And the movie's so obscure, and I love that movie. It's a great musical, and it's a great movie, and that character is so wacky, and it's fun.
Yeah, I remember seeing Planes, Trains, and Automobiles in a theater for the first time. And I went and saw it once, and I hadn't seen it with an audience maybe ever. And when the I Like Me speech comes up, it was so interesting to watch how it affected that audience and what parts they laughed at and what parts they teared up to. And that is just such a beautiful moment. And I love the world that John Hughes painted.
That was actually really the thing that I wanted to explore, that I thought was fascinating. Here was a man that everyone saw as the everyman, and we're drawn to him. The things that he was wrestling with are incredibly relatable. He was struggling with the very same things that so many people do. The difference is now that we have those conversations about mental health, and it's a little bit more in the public conversation than it was when John was around. So the idea of being able to explore that and to show that those kinds of struggles are worth talking about, hopefully makes it even easier to relate to. I thought that was worth sort of taking a look at.
I think that it was important to when you're making a movie about someone like a John Candy, our father, you explain how he got to the places he got to. You just don't kind of say, well, those were a part of his self. And it was also something we always knew. I think that we always knew that he was in treatment and therapy in the last years of his life. And I really feel like he was at the beginning phases of turning a lot around. And he just didn't have the time, and the elements weren't aligned up. But I wanted to make sure that message got across because I wanted people to know that he was brave and curious enough to begin to do that exploration on himself.
And certainly one of the most uncomfortable parts of the film, I think, is to see poor John Candy and, sitting in a chair at junkets or other interviews, and to be asked some pretty appalling questions about his weight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That took me back. Like when I was watching all of the interviews, they're intense. And some of them I was like, wow, people were ruthless back then and just didn't really, but they were thinking they were like, oh, it's okay. I'm going to say it in such a sweet way that you're not going to be offended. But then you just, the look on his face, you're just like, wow, that was like a backhanded compliment there. Like that you're just, I can't believe some people would say that.
It was pretty startling to see a lot of the sort of raw interviews that he did. And, in a strange way, I was shocked because of how uncomfortable he was. I just assumed that he would have been the gregarious, outgoing, interview. And in almost all of his interviews, he was uncomfortable. He, felt ill at ease. And then to see the way people addressed his weight and the manner in which they did it, I mean, that just wouldn't. That wouldn't be allowed now. That would be considered incredibly poor taste. No, very excited. I mean, last night was a real treat, premiering here in Canada and
Yep.
Yeah,
in
it was
Toronto.
really nice.
Toronto. I mean, there's no other place we really wanted to be, but the idea that people are going to be able to see this in their living rooms and, it's exciting stuff.